Gather round, children, gather round. It's story time with Jess, the little writer. In case you didn't know, that's me. Silk sarcophagi. What has 8 legs, no body, and can take your soul out? Rod Conroy knows. He'd been looking for one for years. If the legend was true, phantom spiders existed that bite their victims and take their souls. The spiders aren't venomous and don't spin pretty webs for people to walk into. Phantom eights and ghost legs, they are called, but Rod had never seen one. Nobody had seen one in years, but Rod didn't want to give up. Not yet. He was a patient man, but his patience was wearing thin. For years and years he searched the forest and the mountain caves, but nothing turned up. One day, after searching the mountain caves again, Rod came upon a group of young people on a hiking trip. He noticed that one of the boys had a spider tattoo on his arm. He wanted to kill that boy. Rod wanted to kill many people, but hadn't given in to the urge. It was becoming painful, seeing so many potential victims that he couldn't touch. Rod watched his prey from a distance, plotting and planning how to end the boy's life without getting caught. Rod wanted to skin him and keep his scalp. But how? The hikers left and the sun was going down. Rod didn't go home. He couldn't take another restless night, yearning and aching for someone to slaughter. Rod went into the smallest cave and sat down. If he couldn't cause death, then death could have him. The temperature would drop enough for him to freeze to death. So be it. But death did not take him. In the night, as soon as he drifted off into sleep, a ghost legs found him. It smelled his bloodlust. The spider bit Rod on the neck, ripping the soul from his body. And that soul was wrapped in a cocoon that the spider wove of its own silk. Rod awoke inside this cocoon and couldn't believe his luck. According to the legend, if he could get out, he would be granted the ability to turn into a spider. But how would he get out? He tried breaking the cocoon, but it was indestructible. Hitting it didn't help. Pulling did nothing. Poking and pushing made no difference. Rod was back where he started, unable to make a move. There were boys to dismember, girls to decapitate. There was blood to bathe in, and flesh to eat. Eat. That's a thought. Rod stuck his tongue out and tasted the cocoon. It was salty and sweet and melted on his tongue. Rod took a full bite and swallowed. This was the answer. Rod chomped and chewed until his soul was free. That's when he realized where he was. He was still in the cave. His body still on the ground, frozen solid, with 2 glowing puncture marks on his neck. Rod returned to his body, restoring it with life and warmth. He stood up and flexed his limbs. Though not visible through his shirt, Rod could feel 4 extra appendages, 2 under each arm and 2 on his back. Rod stayed in the cave, feeding on wild critters and drinking rainwater. 4 days after his transformation, the hiking group returned. They stayed later this time. Rod had been practicing going from his spider form and back to human. He assumed his spider form and went on the hunt, not for rabbit or raccoon. While the hikers were packing up, the tattooed boy went off trail to relieve himself. Such good luck for Rod. His prey would not escape this time. Rod put himself between his target and the other hikers. He wove a web big enough to ensnare a large man. Just as planned, the tattoo boy walked right into the web. Rod bit him on the back before he was able to escape or speak. The boy fell unconscious. Rod dragged him back to the deepest part of the cave. There in the dark, with only the setting sun for light, Rod waited for the boy to wake up. When he did, the doomed teen didn't see a giant spider. He saw Rod, sitting and waiting patiently. "Who are you?" the boy said. "I just walked into the biggest spider web ever." Rod nodded. "You sure did." Rod pulled the boy up to his feet and slammed him against the cave wall. The 2 appendages under Rod's arms shot out to prevent the boy from moving. The boy tried to scream, but an appendage from Rod's back came out at lightning speed and went straight down his throat. The force of it ripped his innards to shreds. It had finally happened. His first kill. Rod withdrew his back appendage and watched as blood pooled on the cave floor. He wondered what to do with the body. Eat. That's a thought.